All right. Hello and welcome to the Clean Mom Edit podcast. Today I have an amazing guest, Anushka, and she is a pediatric and prenatal functional nutrition consultant and nervous system coach. So she's got a background in counseling and she specializes in every stage from bump to big kid. She's based in Dubai, so very far away from where we are at here in the United States, but she has supported over 100 different families through pregnancy, postpartum recovery, infant feeding, and child development. So integrating trauma-informed tools, somatic approaches, and functional nutrition. So she's named one of GFEL's top 100 Educator of the Year in 2019. Huge accolade there. She holds certifications in CBT, perinatal nutrition, clinical trauma, lactation, and tons of more, including training through Harvard University. So Anushka is passionate about helping mothers and children thrive, body, brain, and beyond. So welcome, Anushka. We are so happy you're here.
Thank you for having me. That was a lovely introduction. I'm happy to be here.
So Anushka sent me over a couple of topics that she wanted to speak about. And so she gave me the option to select which one that I feel like would best resonate with my audience and what you all want. And so I decided to choose Building a Confident Breastfeeding Mom, um, nutrition, nervous system, and letting go of the noise because ultimately I just finished my breastfeeding journey. And so I do think it's just super, I don't know, I'm kind of like grieving before, but just kind of reflecting also, my experience. It's a little fresh. So I feel like this is going to be an amazing conversation. So I'm going to dive right in. And the first question that I wanted to chat with you about is why do you think so many women feel unsure or anxious about breastfeeding even before they begin?
Right. That's a great question. So I think a lot of us have grown up feeling a huge disconnect as women from our bodies and from who we are because of the society that we've been raised in. No matter where we are in the world, we've had to fight for a place. We've had to prove ourselves constantly. We've had to, um, thrive in male dominated fields that were not built for women and our bodies. We're cyclical beings and we're expected to do the same thing day in and day out. There's a huge disconnect from ourselves, and there's a lot of shame that comes with being a woman. And I think that plays a huge role in breastfeeding being such an intimate act where you are giving your body to your child 24/7. It's overstimulating, it's overwhelming, and it is so vulnerable for so many women. So I think that body disconnect is enormous. There's also a scorecard that's been attached to breastfeeding, right? If you can breastfeed, you're a great mom. If you can't, or if you have difficulty, you're not a good mom, you failed. And that happens from day one, right? When a child is born. If your baby can't latch, that's on you. If you're in pain, that's on you, and you feel like something's wrong.
Mhm.
And then everything is also so medicalized. Your entire body, your mental state, your being, something that you actually want to connect with your child with, right? You want that bonding to take place, has been so medicalized and rationalized, like it's a procedure. And that
Mm.
takes away the emotional connect that you can build. And then we have different shifts in a hospital, right? So you have a lactation consultant, you have nurses, you have everyone giving you different advice. Sometimes something works, sometimes most of the things they say don't work. And then it's one reprimanding you for using the other's tools. So it's so confusing, so strenuous. And I think that right after birth, for a mother to be able to manage all of that contradictory advice is a lot of pressure.
Mhm.
We also don't have a village anymore that's supportive. We can have friends, we can have family, but that doesn't equate to a village. it's not conducive, it's not supportive, it's not giving you what you need. And often, in trying to find that village, we window shop or we go shopping for experts that don't align with us. And also, not everyone can afford doing that.
Mhm.
So I think all of those things play such a big role in whether you're pregnant, whether you're not, in, whether you're a new mom and you have to get on your breastfeeding journey.
100%. Do you think that there's any like connection to like mindset? Like, because I feel like there is a lot of like word of mouth and, on the internet that like there's so much push for breastfeeding. And then you do hear a lot of like struggle stories. I feel like, people a lot are just in like, victimhood or, whatnot. And do you feel like their mindsets are already, like, made up before they even, like, make it to the hospital? And, like, do you feel like if they were, changing their mindset of, like, "I can do this," or, like, "I'm going to breastfeed," like, kind of, like, walk me through how you think that they could best, like, set themselves up for a more successful, start to their journey?
I think it's important to speak to enough people who've
Mm,
experienced it, but I also think it's important to know what you want to do because often we take on other people's trauma and it becomes environmental. I think it's extremely important to get yourself a good lactation consultant booked for the day that you give birth.
ooh, okay.
So that's something that I really believe in is find someone who aligns with your beliefs, the way you want to be supported, and someone who understands and your birth. And when you have that support right when you've given birth, they're there to help you through the process. A lot of women don't find that support.
Mhm.
So I think it's important to plan that. I've met so many women who are breastfeeding who don't lose weight or keep putting on more weight. And
Yeah.
it's about mums having to bounce back. It's
Mhm.
about mums not looking good enough, then them being told what's happened to you. You were so fit before. Or them not eating anything through the day, barely eating, but they're putting on so much weight and they don't feel that connection with their body anymore. It's a shift in identity. They're spending all night feeding their babies. So I think a lot of these things and a lot of what others' experiences are without support also affect women when they're pregnant and when they ask their friends about it. And their friends are like, this is everything that I had to go through. I hated it.
Mhm.
So I think getting yourself a good IBCLC helps. I think working or going through content. There is a content creator called the Breastfeeding Mentor, and I really like her content. She talks about the psychological aspects to breastfeeding. She's also a lactation consultant, so she integrates mental health into lactation,
Love that.
and she helps women really understand what's happening to their bodies. How does breast milk support them and their child? And what it's really like, reality and the rawness of it, but also the beauty of it at the same time. So I really think that those are definitely um, aspects to look into.
So, say that, somebody just found out that they were pregnant. You said you recommend having like that lactation consultant, like be there to support you, day of baby arrival. Walk me, like, how do you suggest kind of like finding that, lactation consultant that's going to like uplift you and make sure that it's like the right fit? Like, where do you suggest like going to find them? And like, what questions do you suggest asking to make sure that it is, the right fit for you?
Okay, so just to make this a little fun, it's like buying a great pair of jeans. You want it to go with everything. You want it to fit you well. You want it to look good on you on days that you're bloated as well, right? So it's kind of like that. So you go to many stores until you find that pair of jeans.
Mhm.
And it's the same for any healthcare provider. I do believe that you have to build a relationship. It's also like dating, right? You keep meeting different people until you find the one. And that's the same for your healthcare provider, because once they're in your life, they're in your life.
Mhm.
That's one thing that I say. Another thing is anyone who fear mongers, anyone who tells you that that's the only way to go about it, or if you don't do it, it's the end of it. I don't believe in practitioners who do that. As practitioners, we're all trained to give you more than one approach or
Hmm,
more than one choice. It's
okay.
part of our training. So, unless it's life and death, if you go to someone and they say, no, this is not possible at all, I think you should take a U turn and go elsewhere. That's definitely one red flag that I would want to put out there. And then also someone who aligns with and advocates for your values. What are your birth values? Um, Putting something as a medical emergency aside, I think everyone wants to have a good, healthy birth with a healthy baby. And I
Mhm.
think that it's important for new expecting parents to be sitting down, be identifying what is their birth plan, who fits into their birth plan, and then always get someone who's recommended by someone you know really well who has used that service. I once got a referral for a postnatal massage therapist,
Mhm.
and she came highly recommended on many chats and by many practitioners that I know. And a client of mine actually had a horrible experience with her. And that put me in such a bad spot because I really like to vet people through to ensure that my client, when they ask me for a reference, they're
Mhm.
not having a bad experience. And I realized that the practitioner who recommended her to me got her reference from other people who said that they've had a good experience. She did not personally have.
Interesting. Okay.
So what I started doing instead is I've started meeting everyone, understanding their process,
Mhm.
learning about their thoughts, their values, and the way that they ethically go about their career to know for sure that this is someone I trust my client with. So that's another tick in the box for sure.
Yeah. I do feel like, yeah, you're kinda, like, interviewing them, and I think that
Yeah.
that's what, new moms should do is kind of, like, interview, lactation consultants and not just yeah, you said, like, not just go with what, everybody else is going towards, like, making sure it's in alignment with your values
Yeah.
and what you want. So, I love that. Um So, here at the Clean Mom podcast, we talk a lot about nervous system regulation. And so, how does a mother's stress response actually impact like milk supply and the bonding process?
Right. So I actually love that question because a lot of people don't understand the correlation between stress and milk. It's always about what they're not eating or just their body feeling. So what's really happening is that when you're stressed, your body goes immediately into a survival mode. It's kind of like you're in the woods and you see a bear. And
Mm,
when you see that bear, you're either gonna play dead, which is freeze, you're gonna fight the bear, or you're going to it's flight. You're
mhm,
gonna run away, right?
mm,
So when your body is experiencing any of those things, it has a surge of hormones, cortisol and adrenaline. And when cortisol is extremely high in the body, it suppresses oxytocin, which actually is a happy hormone. But oxytocin is what triggers milk letdown.
mm.
So it's like, we see when you I don't know if you've seen these pictures, but it's about a breast and it shows the branches that are
Yes.
part of those
So
nodes that
crazy.
go
Yeah,
up,
I showed my
right?
husband that like not too long ago. I'm
Yeah,
like, look at this. It's just magical.
it is. And what happens when a baby is actually drinking milk is it triggers oxytocin in the brain so that there's more let down. So that is the effect that it has for both mom and baby. Now, when we don't have enough oxytocin because of that surge of stress hormones, the milk letdown is very poor or slow because the brain doesn't feel safe enough
Oh my
to produce oxytocin. right? So there can be milk present, but there basically it's like a switch. That switch isn't going on saying, hey, I need some oxytocin. So what happens is that parents, not parents, couples, moms, they come to me and they're like, what supplements can I have? What teas can I drink? What can I change in my diet? And there's so much that we do, but we also do it from the lens of nourishing mom and baby. But if you are not regulated, if you don't feel safe in your body, which by the way is hard as a new mom
Mhm.
to feel anyway, because you're on alert 24/7 because you have a new baby and your body is just fighting to keep it alive, even though it's fine, even though they're perfectly fine, right?
Yeah.
So it's so hard, and sometimes that becomes counterproductive. But I genuinely feel like we have to teach mothers somatic exercises because they can't do therapy all the time.
Mhm.
They don't have the space or the time for it. We have to teach them nervous system tools where they can, while breastfeeding, regulate themselves as
Mhm.
well. So it's extremely important to integrate many modalities as a practitioner to ensure that whatever your client needs, that they're struggling with, there is some sort of intervention or support that you can offer them.
Wow. So fascinating. And I completely like, I knew that there was a missing link to milk production. And I got rid of dairy, I got rid of gluten, I got rid of, all the things. Like I'm a person who can control, like I can get rid of things like super fast, especially if it's in the health of my child. My youngest, he had really bad eczema, and I realized that, I had, did an elimination diet and it was still flaring up. And that's whenever I opened my horizon to that it's related to stress. And so once I started regulating myself is whenever he started healing. So I'm like, I was in it, a, I portrayed it, what you're saying, I saw it, and, I wish I would have talked to you before I had to go through, all the elimination diet and all of that, but, like, I know that this stuff works is what I'm basically saying.
Yeah.
What what would you say for, let's say, like, it is like, I just feel like a new mom who is pregnant, like, what are some of those, like, nervous system tools that you recommend, those somatic techniques? Like, how would you say that they can regulate so that they are ready for that bonding whenever the, baby comes? And then I also want you to talk about, like, the mom who's in it right now, who is, like, on the verge of, like, giving up, because that's a lot of times where I was. Also talk to her too.
Right. So simple things like stroking your neck up and down, it's a
Mm,
gentle touch. It's just like it's like a feather. So it's just stroking your neck up and down, and you
okay.
see you go right till your YOLO
Yeah.
and you come down. And if you do this for 30 seconds, you'll feel like you're in a trance. And this is something that mom can do with one hand to herself and with another to the baby.
Okay.
So you have your baby on you and you can do it because so many moms are so touched out, overstimulated, having their babies on them, and then they feel guilty to put them down for even 5 minutes. So it's just no one's being helped here. And
Okay.
then one that I really love is you take your hands to the bottom of your rib cage,
Okay.
okay, and then you just circle backwards until you've just kind of hooked the side of your body. So kind of like this,
Oh, okay.
right? And so those are your adrenal glands at the back, and they feel a lot of stress, right? So adrenal fatigue is something that every woman is struggling with, right? And so when we just hold that part and we gently circle over it, just gently circle over it.
Interesting.
This is something that you can do when you walk. This is something that you can do when you put your baby on a carry on. You're just holding them. and you're feeling overstimulated, this is something that you can do while you're taking a shower and you're just visualizing that water, just helping you release anything that's making you feel frustrated, tired, a lot of grief, um, sadness, all of that. So, and then I love the butterfly taps.
Mhm.
So you just cross your arms over your shoulders and you just tap rhythmically. I know some of my clients like to do alternate taps for some
Mm,
reason. That works for them.
okay.
Some like to just do one rhythmic tap. So that really helps. Um, Another thing that I think really helps me, especially, but also this breastfeeding mom that I'm working with. And we realize that sometimes when you just touch your sternum, which
Mhm.
is the middle of your rib cage, right? Some of us feel pain. Like you don't have to massage it, but you just feel like there's some sort of pain when you're just circling around it. All
Mhm.
of that is grief. And so we just want to gently circle over it for about a minute every day. This just helps you release grief from your body.
Is this part of the vagus nerve then? Is that why
Yeah,
you're okay.
yeah, yeah. So
Um,
it teaches you um it actually takes you back to when you were a baby and when you had this type of movement.
mhm.
And that's what makes it safe.
I'm, like, on the verge of, like, crying right now because I just feel like honestly, I was doing that to myself, and I felt, like, the release because lately I have been feeling a ton of pain in my chest, and I think it's just, like, grief of, like, breastfeeding and, like, working through that and this new life that, I'm living with my baby now. It's like he doesn't need me as much. Like, it is, like, a grieving process too whenever you have, finished your journey. But I also the adrenal, that is very interesting, because I will say that, like, my son, whenever he is getting nervous or, like, overstimulated, like, he rubs that area, and now I realize, like, it's probably because he carries a lot of stress there. So, like, these techniques, I also, like, whenever I, do them to myself or, whenever women, hear about these, I want them to know that they can also do these on their children too, and it's super beneficial, right?
Yeah, for sure. For sure. In fact, I'm sorry that you're going through that grief. I know it's so hard. There's so many things where you look at them as milestones, but also things that they're memories that you want to hold them as well. A lot of changes. When you said that about your son, I just want to tell everyone listening that kids intuitively actually respond through their body. It's when they enter society and they're expected to behave a certain way that they start to disconnect with those things. Like you see a child jumping around in one place, right, when they're overstimulated. And shaking is actually a huge nervous system regulator.
Mhm.
And then we look at that kid and we're like, stop doing that so often, right? So these are things that I like. A great morning tip is if you have a toddler or if you have a child who can walk,
Mhm.
before you get out of the house, because you know it's a new environment and that they're going to be dysregulated, is make it a habit to do a shaky shaky before you leave.
Okay.
So it's fun. They're regulating themselves before they step out. They're not waiting until a volcano has erupted. And it's just like a family routine that you have. So mom or dad or both are doing shaky shaky, so they're regulated, and then the kids are doing it, so they're regulated.
Love it. Like, put a good song on and just do it for I mean, like, how many minutes or seconds do you think is, like, worth it?
Like anything upwards of 30 seconds. It doesn't have to be too much. But I love dance parties as well for adults and kids. I think it's just the best thing to do.
I love that because my son also, um, struggles with car seat and, like, having overstimulation,
Yeah.
whenever he's in there. So I think that that will be super beneficial for him to do a shaky shaky before we get into the car each time.
Yeah, I'd love to know how that goes.
I'll keep you updated. So there is so much noise around what moms should eat. So what does a breastfeeding body truly need to stay nourished and supported, would you say?
So before I answer that, I actually want to tell moms who are breastfeeding or
Oh,
who are
yes.
about
Thank you. Yes.
that what you eat does affect the quality of your milk.
Mhm,
Okay. So
mhm,
it's as simple as breast milk is made up of about 60% fat. Okay. And
okay,
fat is extremely important for your baby's brain and
mhm,
hormones to develop. Now, there's different types of fat, right? We're always told have your omega 3s, don't have your omega 6s. Why? Because every food you eat has a particular type and quality of fat. So if I'm going to think, oh, I need to eat a lot of fat to support my baby's brain, but I'm eating saturated fat, I'm
mhm,
eating seed oils, I'm eating the wrong kind of fat, my body is not going to convert that into a good type. So the quality of ingredients that you consume affects the quality of ingredients, the chemical compounds in your breast milk. And I've seen a lot of lactation consultants tell mums that they don't need to focus on their nutrition because breast milk is naturally made 100% perfect. And it really, really irks me when people do that because one is that your body actually takes things out of your tissues and your bones and your muscles and your bloodstream to make the milk and to
mhm,
make the compounds in the milk. So if you're not nourishing yourself or eating for your breast milk, you're actually so depleted. It takes you over 10 years to heal from the problem. So that's something that I wanted to give as a little disclaimer is
okay.
please eat when you're breastfeeding or when you're preparing to breastfeed. So to answer your question, so a breastfeeding mom really needs to consume more calories every day than a pregnant mom. And when I was doing my perinatal training with Dr. Lindsay Taylor, she's known as the food doula on Instagram. I don't know if you've heard
But
of
I'm
her.
going to after this.
Yeah, she's amazing. And basically what we realized was is there's so many news articles that are very pro women losing weight that they
Mm,
actually tell them to reduce their calories. A toddler needs about 1200 to 1400 calories. We tell women to cut down to go into a calorie deficit of 1500 and less. So we're actually telling women who just had a baby, who are feeding a baby, to have as much food as a toddler, right? So if you are producing milk, you need to have 500 to 700 more calories a day.
mm,
If you are a pregnant mom, you should be having 2,500, 3,000 calories because your baby it's building its entire body, right? So when you're postpartum, it's anything upwards of 2,500 calories, whatever the mom can take. And that's why I like looking at your grams of protein and fiber every day versus calories, because
mm.
I don't think that we should be focusing so much as much with satiety, getting that protein in, getting the fiber. So that's definitely something that I would say. I would also say we have to eat stuff. So that's flax seeds, chia seeds, walnuts, um, any fishy foods, any of your seafood. I actually love walnut as a form of omega 3.
Walnut, you
Because when
said?
walnut,
Walnut. Awesome.
yeah. So when you soak them overnight, when you have them the next day, they actually are so much easier to digest. So I'm of the approach. My approach is that animal-based meat is better for your body than plant in terms of quality and everything. So but I love walnut for little kids, for toddlers, and for moms because I feel like so much easier to soak the walnut and then consume 10 half every day. You know,
Interesting.
that gives you your daily omega. So you're just pumping yourself with that. So we need fat, avocado, great. If you have some fatty meat, please eat. You need it.
Yeah.
And then we need iron.
Mm,
So I don't like iron supplements on the market at all.
okay.
They have most of them are mixed with so many compounds and we don't know how they interact with the body. A lot of the iron is chemical, synthetic, based, so it's not actually absorbed by the body. So we don't absorb about 50 to 70% stuff, right? So it has to come from a good source. An alternative to iron is bone broth, eating your iron through poultry. And I love taking organ meat. I think it's been a game changer for me.
What do
So
you
if
do?
you
Organ? Tell me again.
so organ meat supplements, so you get supplements where
Oh,
they've
the supplement. Okay.
yeah, where they've basically just they have heart, liver, kidney, spleen, and I think a couple more organs that they a lot of it is grass fed, pasture raised, and you have those. It's helped me with my acne, with increasing my ferritin levels. I know it's helped my clients who are pregnant with no morning sickness when they consume it.
Oh, that's huge.
Yeah. But I would also always say make sure you have a practitioner supporting you with that because it's extremely high in vitamin A. So you want to make sure that whoever is guiding you knows what you're consuming every day. So I definitely love that as an alternative. And then we have calcium and magnesium. Calcium, there's not much in milk. To be honest.
Mhm.
So what I like as an alternative is moringa leaves. So you get capsules or you get the powder, and you
Mm.
can just mix that into whatever you eat. You can put it in a stew, a soup, in yogurt, whatever. That has just so much more calcium than you would ever get in milk.
Hmm.
It's also extremely anti-inflammatory. And then I love magnesium. It's in charge of over 300% in your body, and we're all depleted. So I actually love ancient minerals, magnesium lotion. Love that.
I just
I
bought
apply
magnesium flakes this week actually and started using them.
amazing. So I love their lotion because
Okay.
the oil actually it dries my skin out a lot and it gets so itchy. I know with young kids they just scratch until they're bleeding.
Yes.
So don't like the oil at all. Love the lotion. If I have a headache, it goes on my head. If I have period cramps, it goes on my tummy. But it's always going on the soles of my feet. If I'm sore anywhere, it's going on my body. Children who have cold or like cough or congestion, just apply it on their chest. It
Okay.
just gets absorbed into the body immediately. So I
Yeah.
would say have the magnesium lotion on you
Okay.
every day without fail. And then from the same brand, they have a magnesium glycinate powder. So just get that because we need a lot of magnesium for mental
Mhm.
for a lot of things in our body. So those are definitely nutrients that I would prioritize. And a good cup of hot chocolate is also hot.
With some cacao.
Yeah.
I love it. I love that you're saying all of this because I literally just went and bought a couple new supplements for I did like a gut rebalance for my youngest son. And did like remineralize, did like a binding agent and we just kind of wrapped that up. And so I just need like kind of like the support. And I got powdered magnesium, I got the magnesium plates, I got omega-3 drops and then vitamin D to just kind of like help him, support him now that he's kind of on the stabilization of his health journey. So it's good to hear from you that I'm on the right track, it sounds like. So
Yeah, it sounds great. Everything you got is a good concoction.
good, good. Vitamin A, though, what would happen if you like, are you nervous? Because you're like, you have to have a practitioner if you're going to go that route to support you. Like, what would happen if, like, could you overload on it or tell me a little bit about that?
So, there's a lot of people who are on the carnivore diet and they
Yeah.
technically consume a lot of vitamin A and they don't see any changes. But I mean, we're ethically bound to tell people don't experiment on yourself. We
Okay.
don't know what could happen to you,
Right.
and the FDA has, an RDA, which is a daily intake
Mhm,
um, of each vitamin that you can take. And it's a lot. It's like 10 times the daily intake
mhm.
per dose of organ meat.
Oh
So I
gosh.
would always say, what I do with my clients is I make them do alternate days, but then some of them I make them do daily, some of them I make them do once a week. So it really depends on everyone's metabolism,
Mhm.
their symptoms, the body's response to it, and also how much meat you consume every day, right? Because you don't want to overdo it if you're getting it from your food.
Interesting. I actually just bought some organs from our local meat market and was going to I don't know what I'm gonna do with them, but we shall see. Because 'cause I've just heard a lot about, the benefits of animal organs. So,
Yeah, yeah.
do you have
No,
any
they're great.
suggestions?
Meatballs and then pate.
Oh, okay. I like that. I actually have a meatball recipe that I need to make, so I might just you
Yeah.
think just, like, cutting them up and throw them in there?
Yeah, or just mix it up with some minced meat. No one's gonna know.
Right. Okay. I love that. Okay, so there is advice everywhere. Like I mean, I feel it even as like I do feel like I'm an individual that knows more than the average Joe of, wellness. That's why I'm in this space to share that information. And I still feel overstimulated when I go on social media or Facebook. So, with a lot of pediatricians too, family members, talking in your ear, how can a mom learn to trust herself and filter what's helpful from what's fear-based?
Okay, great question. I think everyone has good intentions here. However,
Mm,
good intentions don't equate to the outcome that you need,
so good.
right? It's
Yeah.
not one size fits all.
Mhm.
What I really say is everyone has their specialization. So if it's a pediatrician, they're in charge of keeping your baby alive, keeping your child alive. Their focus is entirely on medical intervention. So when we look at doctors, there's so many papers that have come out where they have about less than 30 or 17 hours of nutrition education. Yet, people would prefer what a doctor says over someone like me who practices functional nutrition. So it's very important to understand that different specializations are what we have to kind of peek into because not everyone knows everything.
Mhm.
So that's definitely one thing. Um, what I want for people to know is how do you feel after you leave that appointment? Do
Mhm.
you feel anxious? Do you feel calm? Very important to connect with your body. Does this align with my values? Is something inside of me screaming, no, I feel something is wrong so strong? So I think that parents need to kind of, especially moms, they have this intuitive ability because they've grown a baby inside of them. They're never going to lose that connection.
Mhm.
If you think something is wrong, something is wrong.
Mhm.
And you keep going at it until you find a practitioner who, even if they believe nothing is wrong, will still try five different things until there's some sort of ground that's covered
Mhm.
instead of just being dismissed. So I definitely feel like that's a big thing. And then also before you go into a session, you constantly hold, just your body. Put your hand on your chest and on your belly and just say, I am safe. I trust myself. My baby or child is safe with me. My intentions are good and I'm listening to my body. It is safe to listen to my body. And then when you go in, you'll know when you come out if that is the trajectory you want to go on to. So I think regulating before and after is extremely important. I think also, like I said, go denim shopping, but with a practitioner. That is extremely important. Um, how how much someone made you feel empowered and validated. You're a parent, but you need someone to help you build that confidence. I want to be able to build the confidence of the people that work with me. I don't want them to feel like they don't know anything.
Mhm.
So it's how a practitioner really makes you feel when you're sitting and working with them. And anyone who doesn't have time for you is not looking at your job well.
And I also want moms I just heard it from a mom not too long ago. She's like, "Yeah, my pediatrician, was making me feel like a bad mom, like, because she was constantly asking me about, like, milestones and because her baby wasn't sleeping." And, like, I'm like, "If you are feeling like that, then you need to find a different pediatrician." Like, I think, like, people just, like, go through the motions and they don't feel like they have, like, another option, which is, so wild to me. But that is why I feel like for myself, like once I started, you know, doing regulation and really being in tune with my body is whenever I got clarity. And one thing that I've learned is by leveraging human design, is that we all don't feel things the same way either. Like, some of my clients, feel through their brain. Some of them feel in their chest. Some of them feel in their gut feeling. Some of them feel in their, lower back. Like, and that's one thing I feel like that's why I love human design so much is because it gave me the direct answer. Like I'm a splenic, so in my spleen, like whenever I have a question, like an intuitive question, I literally just sit in my body and I can feel the answer like yes or no, just like by knowing where I'm focused of that feeling. Does that make sense?
Yeah, and I actually love that. Thank you for sharing that. It's lovely to actually it makes so much sense. Because we have, like, when you're looking at the nervous system and taking what you said into account, right? It's every part of you reacts that way. So if like you're anxious, sometimes you feel anxious through your gut. Sometimes
Mhm.
it's here. Sometimes it's here.
Yes.
So that's actually amazing to know. Thank you. I learned something great.
Well, good. I'm glad, but I feel like there's underlying, working through my clients, there's underlying also trauma
Yeah.
behind that, once we look into the throat or the chest, it's, something that they, can't get off their, something that they're trying to say that they don't feel like they can say. And it's maybe their throat or, their stomach. It's maybe, I don't know, consumption of things. Do you go into that with your clientele or like what's your journey of support?
So it's a session that I do with them.
Okay.
Now, some of them come one off when they need it, and then some of them take a container. And what we actually do is we sit, we go through what they've done through the week. We go through anything that's troubling them. We do somatic exercises. We do nervous system tools. So it's actually an integration of nutrition support, mental health, and then giving them the tools to regulate their nervous system. So it's like a little triangulation. But what it feels like is it's just a conversation,
Mhm.
where a couple times we're doing activities and where sometimes we're like, what would like taste really good with this or what would make you feel really good is if you had this. So if someone says, I like to have grilled chicken at lunch every day, I'll probably tweak that a little bit and add something to it. So my approach is to add value to your life, not to change your life. It's not sustainable to do that. So we make small daily tweaks. We change we do micro habit changing.
Yes.
And it's just worked so well for my clients because I work mainly with pregnant and postpartum women or women in different stages of their motherhood. And then, of course, I work with parents who are starting solids because my way of starting solids is focusing on the gut and the brain first
Mhm.
and instead of variety and everything. And then, of course, I do basic nutrition. But when I work with the postpartum women that I work with, they don't have energy, they don't have time, they're so tired. So,
Mhm.
what we do is we just add 2 or 3 tweaks at the start of their day for maybe a month, and that's it. And when they come back, it's usually on day 4 after we've discussed that and they have their plan where they're like, I did not feel like I could feel any better getting up in the morning. I didn't think that I would make it through the day the way that I have. So, always those kind of things. And I think it's not that women don't want to do it,
Right.
it's just that they don't know how. And they
Yep.
need someone who gives them a safe space and who makes them feel like they can love themselves.
I agree. I used to have my coaching business like whenever I first started 3 years ago, and I would give them like a complete meal plan. I would give them their complete like workout plan and like completely overhaul their life in a week. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like I would deliver all of this and I was like they were doing all the work and like they weren't getting like, these crazy results that they wanted and I that's where I've kind of like gone on my journey and I'm like why isn't this, sticking? Like I feel so bad that they, are following these rigid schedules and now I realize I'm like, "Oh, okay. It's the small habits, it's the slowness, it's the reflection, it's the not one size fits all." Like that is where the true magic and the sustainability lies.
Yeah. I think all of us have to learn these things the hard way, where we pour in so much into our clients and we don't see results. And it
Mhm.
like triggers imposter syndrome. It triggers so much and it makes you feel like you failed as a practitioner. And then you circle back to it and you're like, wait, this is what I wasn't seeing. And I don't know like if it was for you as well, but for me, it was more of my clients mirroring me where I was going too fast and I needed to focus on my micro habits and I had to make those changes and I had to learn those lessons through them, unfortunately, to support them better and to see what was wrong.
100%. 100%. When a mom truly feels confident in her breastfeeding journey, what does that look like and feel like?
So even when you're a confident mom, even when you've got the hang of it, not every day is going to be
Mm.
the best. I think that I want to put that out there because either we're glorifying things or we're really like demotivating.
Okay.
So not every day is going to be the best, but you're going to intuitively understand what you're being a lot better. You're going to intuitively understand you need a lot better. You're going to have better energy. Your mood is going to be more manageable. The way that you responded to stress will be different. So you'll be okay with going with the flow. You'll be feeling comfortable in your structure, but also have space for some unstructured structure. There'll be a lot more play. There'll be a lot more of being in the present. So when we're anxious, we're actually nervous about the future and uncertainty. And when we're depressed, we're stuck in the past. The way the way to go about this is to stay in the present. The more we stay in the present, the less either of those feelings, emotions, energies will affect. So I think that, and then also not outsourcing your. I know that we want people to appreciate us, want people to-
Mm.
but when we outsource that, even to our partners, what that's doing to us is saying, I don't feel safe with. So
I love that.
getting that confidence and value from inside And then if anyone else says something, it's the cherry on top.
Yeah. The rhythm. I love that. Like just finding your rhythm. And I think that was like the biggest misconception for me was like that, once I like, if my baby wasn't sleeping and I would go in there, kind of like erratic and like, being like, I just want them, I just want him to sleep. And I feel like the shift for me was that being present, also just being able, like you said, like manageable. Like I thought all of my problems will, go by the wayside. And I realized like going through this journey, like it's about managing your problems and your emotions. Like it's like there may, especially like I'm just thinking like breastfeeding, like that first go in the hospital, like I know like I'm like sweating right now, like thinking about it because it's like you're so nervous. Like, is this gonna work? Is it not? Like the latching process, like, that is just such a hard season of life. And I feel like I can say that, but knowing that, that it's about how you react to that situation, like, breathing through, but accepting that, the trials are still going to come, but it's how you react to the trials. Because I thought, like, the perfect breastfeeding journey was that, you would just put the boob in their mouth and they would latch, and every day it's just like eating at this time and that time, and it's like, "Oh, no, 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 that's not it." The successful breastfeeding journey is by acknowledging, the trials, and also acknowledging the, having gratification in it as well, and being able to sit in your seat with both of those. And I think that's the beautiful breastfeeding journey.
Yeah. Yeah. That makes a lot of sense. That's great perspective.
I don't know. I'm just like it's a lot of freshness obviously coming off of the journey.
Yeah.
So I'm just like thinking about how I've like processed it and how I've like accepted that. So all right, my last question for you. If you could tell every new mom or mom, one thing about breastfeeding, like what would it be?
Um, to start off with, I think I want to tell every mom, no matter what stage of motherhood that they're in, is that you weren't designed to do any of this alone. Okay? Because it starts off with everyone has been doing this since the beginning of humanity. They've been bearing children, they've been raising children, and I'm the one who's a problem, is something that I hear all the time. So you were not designed to do it alone, and neither was your body. And I think that that is the biggest thing that I want to say. And then also find your village. If that's an online support group, if that's a group of practitioners, if that's someone that you met at a prenatal class, if whoever that is, find your village. You mean it'll be hard. It may not be people that you know already, even if they're on the same journey. This has to be people that align with your values of parenting, of what postpartum looks like, what breastfeeding looks like. And that's extremely important. And then please always get yourself help, whether it's nutrition, it's a doula, it's a lactation consultant, um, it's a meal plan service that you need. It's figuring out how you can meal plan at home, whatever it is. Get the support that you need. You have not failed if you need support. What you are actually doing is strengthening your motherhood journey so that you can focus on that baby, right? And I think that's so important. I actually wrote on this threads comment where someone
Mhm.
asked what they should gift their friend who's pregnant, because she was like, everything on the baby registry is for the baby, but what can I get her? And I said, please buy her a consult, or gift her a consult with a
Oh, I love
lactation
that.
consultant. We need to do these things, and we need to start making it more of a community choice where we're actually gifting sessions or
Mm.
gifting some sort of, even if like three people come together and gift something. that would make a huge difference for a mom.
Yeah.
And also not to internalize the mom guilt and failure.
Mhm.
When it's hard, just regulate yourself. Just move. Just move, hold yourself, hold your baby. Just make sure that you're focusing on feeling safe. Safety is number one. Safety in your body.
Mhm.
So I think that I would want everyone to not look at it as I passed or have I failed.
Mm.
And make that like a little report card for them to graduate into parenthood. I think that that's very unfair. It's extremely hard for most women, most parents when they're on this journey. And it's just something that we want to be very gentle with ourselves and give ourselves grace for it as well. It's your first step, and your best is the best for your child.
Mm.
Mm.
So good. I wanna just comment on the village thing, because I feel like a lot of women want the village, but they're not willing to put the time and, investment in finding the village, and, like, I just wanna encourage moms out there, because obviously Anushka said, like, a village is one of the most, like, a very important part of this journey, and so, yeah, it feels uncomfortable. Like, there's a lot of times that I don't wanna go to a lot of, like, I'm going by myself with my, kids, and I don't know any moms there. Like, it is very uncomfortable, but, like, the other side of that is so beautiful. So, like, just kind of, like, swallow, the uncomfortability part of it for the first, couple times that you're talking to the individual, and then, like, it will just flow. So that's one thing I'm like, I just feel like everybody's so scared to go and find the village, and they're just hurting themselves because they'll never, if they don't put the effort in, they'll never find their village. So um, and then I love the baby, buying a session for a baby gift, and also one thing, is I realized that instead of buying material things, because I'm in this, minimalism, type of season of life, and, also buying, like you said, like a food service or a cleaning lady. I had one of my girlfriends, her sister got in a really bad, like, side-by-side accident, and instead of buying them, food, because everybody was bringing them food, I'm like, "Why don't we buy her a cleaning lady to, like, clean her house?" I just think that we need to start expanding more into, like,
Yeah.
experience or support rather than, like, materialism things.
I love that idea. I think that's it's exactly the last thing you want to do while you're feeding your baby is think about the laundry that's on the floor.
Right.
And I think let's just stop the mental loops of unfinished things.
Mm, yeah,
Throw
totally.
that out the window. Yeah. You don't
Yeah,
need anything more to worry about.
trash it. I love it. All right, well, where can my audience find you if they would like to book a session with you? Tell them all about, where to find you.
So it's Anushka Gokani with a little underscore Instagram. So I can send that to you. They can find it
I'll
there.
put it in the show notes too,
Yeah.
everybody. No
Yeah.
problem.
Um, it's mainly just my Instagram because I do a lot of events in person in Dubai and in Mumbai. So that's where people meet me. And I have a lot more podcasts as well on my Instagram that go through and get it. So yeah, I'd love to connect with anyone who feels like they need my support, align with me. Yeah, it would be a great honor to be part of their journey. And thank you so much for having me on this. It's been a lovely chat.
Oh my gosh, I could talk to you forever, I feel like. So I love all of this and just supporting, more breastfeeding moms and just supporting moms in general. So I appreciate your time. You've been a wealth of education even for myself. So thank you. Thank you. I hope and pray again that you and your family and friends are all safe, and we will, I'm sure, connect again in the future. So thank you again.
Thank you so much for